Yo, what's good? What's poppin'? What it is, what it ain't. What it could be, what it should be, what it would be. It's yours truly, Mr. Cam Newton to some, Mr. Boogie to all. And I'm here to drop good content for the masses and funky stuff for your asses. Today I got a special guest that needs no introduction, but at the same time I'm gonna introduce her anyway. This is my daughter, Shakira. Shakira, what's good with you?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm good. Listen, this is important because a lot of times my guests are people of influence, and I want to kind of have a wide array of dynamics to different type of platforms, different type of followings, or whatever. How old are you, Shakira?
I'm 15.
And what school do you go to?
I go to Grady, now known as Midtown.
And where's the school at?
I don't know. Downtown Atlanta, I think.
Atlanta, Georgia. So let's get right on into it. Prior to this Funky Friday kind of manifesting, I had a retreat with the Iconic Saga team. And, we really wanted to kind of blow this out in a way that gives me an opportunity to speak to any and everybody in a way that is cool, that is liked. You can be empowered from it, you can be encouraged or whatever about it. And I was like, man, let me do a whole kind of comb through who I would love to kind of interview. And what better person than Shakira? So my first question, Shakira, is how do you differentiate the difference between a strict parent and a cool parent?
For me, I feel like strict is where you can't do anything. It's like you can't talk to your parent. You can't go home and be like, this is how my day is. Or you have to code switch or change who you are when you get home. A cool parent is like, I can go home, I can talk to you, I can share stuff that's happening in my life. I can just do anything. I'm cool. I'm chilling around you. I don't have to change who I am at school around other people than around you.
So how important is that for growth as a young woman? You being 15 years old, you being kind of hip to the peer pressure that you got to go through, drugs, violence, sex, relationships, fashion, culture things that, it's changed. When I was 15 years old, I thought this way. But another thing is, ever since you've been into my life, you kind of forced me to have a softer side of understanding a woman's perspective. I grew up around a lot of boys. I don't have no sisters. The only sister that I kind of consider my sister on my dad's side is Chloe, right? But also it's more girls on my mom's side. So I say that to say, there's a teaching mechanism that goes both ways, not just from a parent telling the child, it's also the child telling the parent. So when you talk about strict parent versus cool parent, do you think the environment that you have, do you have the access to be able to say, you know what, Mom, I'm going through this. You know what, Dad, I'm going through this, openly and freely?
Yeah, I think I do. I'm really thankful for that because not a lot of people can. But yeah, it makes a big difference and it influences. Like if you tell me stories of how you were younger, I'm gonna listen to those stories and I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna do that, or I'm gonna try to do that or be like that or try to achieve that. So yeah, but if I can't talk to you, it's like, how do I know? Where do I get my guidance from?
Right. So even with that, you see a different side of your friends, your peers, that they're a different animal when they're around you, and then they become a different animal when they're around their parents or even their teachers. What do you deem is the fine line or the silver lining where you can be a person that you can come to, but not be a person that's stepped on, or, we can do whatever we want to at Mr. So-and-so house. They ain't gonna care.
I feel like you could tell by the way they act at school, how they talk to their peers or their teachers. Like, it's a line rather being respectful or just like talking your opinion or just like, not being run over. You can tell when somebody just run over, like they'll be talking any type of way. Like the teacher won't even say nothing. They come in late, they smelling like gas. They just being disrespectful.
What's gas?
Weed.
Weed. So you know the smell of weed right now?
Yes.
Does your parents smoke weed?
No.
Does your parents do any drugs?
No.
Right. So, all right, well, answer me this. Should parents have access to your phone?
In my opinion, no. No, not at all.
Why?
Honestly, it depends on what type of child you are. Like if you just know. You could tell by the character or just the way they are. But like if they not on their phone and you feel comfortable, like I talk to you about stuff. So I'm not gonna hide a lot in my phone and just different things. But like if you're a child, there has been an incident where it's like, I need to check what you're looking at. Or they say some wild stuff, like real wild.
But what if the parent says, I'm paying for this phone bill, I paid for this iPhone, I paid for this Android, and if I paid for it, then I should be able to have access to it, not to evade your privacy, but to kind of monitor what you're looking at. Because I was very reluctant to you getting on Instagram. I'm very reluctant still to you being on TikTok, but that's just what this world is right now, because there's no filtering with those things. You can filter YouTube, you can filter all these different media platforms, Netflix, Disney Plus, but you can't filter Instagram. Meaning, you're 15 years old, there may be somebody posing as a 15-year-old, but as a 30-year-old or a 40-year-old man, and as a parent, I need to know. There's parents that may see this and say, I need to know exactly, what you're looking for. I remember a time here recently where you came to my house and you closed the door. And I was like, nah, we don't do that, because I need to see. I come from the background where it wasn't no locked phones, it wasn't no closed doors, it wasn't no nothing. But that's where I came from. Now, it's to my discretion to be able to take that parenting style and implement it into my children. And I want you to be your own version of yourself in a way that you feel comfortable, but you know what's right and what's wrong. So from the privacy standpoint, I feel like I shouldn't even have to ask you what's the code to your phone. I should know that code. So if you were to come downstairs and see me going through your phone, you shouldn't have no say-so about that, because I know I have your best interest in place, and I need to know who's your friends and how you talk to your friends, or how your friends are talking to you. Any rebuttal to that?
No, but either way, as a teenager, you look at it differently. You feel like it's an invasion of privacy. It's like, you don't trust me. That's what it feels like. But I understand what you're saying. It's not clicking.
Which is cool. So let me ask you this, and we're gonna kind of take this Lambo from one street and go to another street. Answer this question for me. Shakira, what is a thought?
I feel like a thought is someone who's well-known.
Well-known like what?
In her sexual activity.
Do you think you go to school with some thoughts? Keep it above. Keep it funky.
Yes.
So when somebody is down the hall and somebody may say, "Oh man, she a thought, she a hoe," what are they implying?
That she gets around.
She gets around. Now, with that being said, somebody may see this and say, "Why are you having that type of conversation with your daughter?" But my question to that, or my answer to that, is, you already know what that is, right? Mm-hmm. And I believe in having full, transparent conversations with my children, because if they not having it with you as the parent, they having it with their friends, their peer groups, and whatever. So when I ask you questions about drugs, when I ask you a question about sexual relationships, that's not to impose your privacy. That's really so I can really understand you. And I say how I was raised is completely different than how you was raised, not just from the monetary, benefits and the access, but just everything. You live in a 2 different parent household where you live with your grandmother, you live with your mom, but you also have access to a father figure in your life and myself that you spend time with too. Do you think that has any type of impact on a teenager's growth?
Yes.
How?
Like you said, I live in like a 2 different, like my family's not together. We live in 2 different places. I feel like when it can create envy, it makes you want to be someone you're not. Like you see, like television, it portrays an image of like, the perfect family, the family dog, but that's not the real world. But like if you continue to see that, you're like, I want that. So it's just, yeah. So then you're jealous, and then it just creates different things. But I also think it's helpful because I get information and different advice from different people who lived in a different time and just in different areas. So it's interesting.
Interesting to what though? Well, first off, let's tell the people, how many siblings do you have?
I have 4.
4 siblings that stay in your house. How many in total?
What do you mean?
Like on my side, on your biological dad's side, and how many kids do you see on a regularity?
I have 5 siblings. My biological dad has 1 son, but I see my 4 on the regular.
4 on the regular. Now, you got Caesar, you got Jaden that you also see on a regular when they're with me. And when you see all those different personalities, all those different, I wouldn't say egos, but you know what I'm saying, all those differences in human beings, is anybody alike?
No. You may see some similarities, but they're not alike.
Mm-hmm. And the development of mental thought, like I would say Comitus is 3 years old, and then you see Chosen who's 6 years old, whereas Chosen was at 3 is completely different than where Comitus is at 3. You see Cash at 2, Pumbaa at 2, and you see completely differences in when Sovereign was at 2. When you see Jaden at 16, a year older than you, and he's a boy going through his whole different peer group because he goes to a different school. But that whole foundation is similar to that degree. I want to remind you about something that I did, and I think it's important. As a parent, you teach your children about financial literacy. And I'm always prompting you, little girl, to, be financially aware of how to make money, right? Tell me the story about when I showed you $10,000.
All right, I'm gonna go detail to detail because I remember. Yeah. We was having this conversation, the fire was lit, he went in his bag, right? And when he went in his bag, it was me and JD, and my first thought was like, oh, we getting money. He came out with a stack of money, and he spread it on the table. Then he was like, tell me something what to do with this money. And it was something to do with college, and then it continued from there. So that's what I remember, but.
Was that the first time you've seen that much money?
Yes.
Now, with that being said, what did you learn from that encounter?
I learned different things, honestly. I learned how to save the money, invest it, what's the difference between wealth and being rich. So, yeah, I still remember some of it to this day.
You live relatively comfortable in a situation where you don't want for many things. Mm-hmm. Is that an accurate statement?
Yes.
And, you being who you are, a lot of people really don't know your affiliation to who your father is, who your dad is, who your mom is, but they know by the way you dress, by the way you carry yourself, that you come from something. Mm-hmm. What's the ongoing kind of, oh, that's so-and-so? What do people say when they see who you are and who or where you come from? What's the typical thing that a person may say?
She's funny.
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 That's the funny girl right there with the fluffy hair.
Yeah, funny. The light skin, unbelievable light skin.
Oh my goodness.
The afro. And yeah, the talkative.
Do you think there's a difference in growing up with a father figure in your life versus growing up with just a female in your life?
Yes.
So for the people, so you take two different people, whether male or female, at the age that you are at right now, the one that has a father figure versus the one who doesn't have a father figure, what are the differences that you see at your age?
I'ma just say like daddy issues. That stems into a whole different thing, you know. I guess people my age who don't, I don't know, we're kind of the same. It's just different issues going on. Because even if you have a father and you don't, it can be different issues. Your father could just not be right, like, and not having a father, it still can have issues, but like, kind of.
Yeah. But when you say daddy issues, what are the permanent or the reoccurring issues that you kind of see and deem like, that's right, that's not right, and how do you kind of cope with that, or how is that person supposed to cope with that?
I'm gonna say, I guess self-esteem issues, confidence, the way they carry themselves, who they date, who they hang around. It's just the mentality of it. Like not having, you can have your mom, but like having a dad, it balances it.
Right.
You know?
T.I. and his daughter had, you know, a kind of thing back in the day. I don't know to what degree it was because it's real loose in my mind right now. But a couple years ago, T.I., you know, voiced his opinion about him and his daughter. And some people liked it, and some people were, you know, kind of gave him flack for it. Now, for a person like myself who believes in family, believe in keeping his kids together as a unit, you know, what do you say to, you know, the masses that, you know, here you are, you have a hands-on father that kind of teaches you and tells you, man, Shakira, that's a great job. And also, Shakira, now you can do better than that, you know what I mean? And that's on you to warrant you from the hyenas out there, you know what I'm saying? The young boys who's just looking for, you know, ass, you know what I'm saying? But when you hip to it, you know how to prepare yourself from it. All right? And how do you kind of gauge between, you know, taking what my dad says versus what my mom says and applying it to your own life?
I guess I learn from both of you and I combine your information, but I don't take all of it. I learn from myself also. Because if I just take your information and go away, like I don't know. Like I don't know where I'm gonna follow. So I'll take your information and I'll take mommy's information and it'll settle in my brain, but it's not all the way there, you know?
Right. So what are you into? Like shows that you like, YouTube channels that you like what's your hobbies?
Okay, I have a variety of different things. Shows that I like is Game of Thrones.
Okay, yeah.
Vikings.
Okay.
That was a good one.
You finished Vikings?
I didn't finish it, I started it, but I like it.
Okay.
So far. I watched Shameless. I watched everything.
You watch Euphoria?
Yeah.
Now, with that, do you find characters that you can kind of cope with and say, oh, I'm going through those same issues? How does that make you, you know, feel when you see something so raw, so uncut that, you know, it's to your discretion to imply it in your life or say like, nah, that's not me. I'm gonna do it my own way.
There may be characters that I have like gone through that phase before, but now, no. But yeah, I have seen some things that are just so raw and so true. It makes you like, well, dang, like, but I feel like that show shows you kind of.
Talking about Euphoria.
Yeah, shows you like what not to do, kind of like you're watching it and people are like, oh, this is so immature, this is so inappropriate, but I feel like people don't realize this is actually how high school can be. Like it can be that stressful, it can be have that many problems, people can be on that many drugs. It's It's a lot.
So for that, do you think there's anything that from a parent, is there a timing thing that you have to say, I can't talk to my dad or I can't talk to my mom about certain things, or you feel like you should be able to talk to your parents about everything? Or some things to that degree?
Yeah, you should be able to talk to your parents to some things to that degree, like what you're comfortable with. If you're not comfortable saying this and that, like that's okay if it's not anything serious. But if you're comfortable letting the serious stuff out and, you know, talking and learning from it, yeah, that's cool. Like.
But who are you to say what's serious and what's not?
What you deem serious. Like, no one can tell you what's serious. No one can tell you what to think, or that's not important, or that is important. No one can tell you but yourself.
Mm-hmm. So as you kind of grow into the woman that you are, and I see, when I first came into Shakira's life, she was 5 years old. Me and her mom was dating. And in reality, Chosen was born when you was 10?
9.
We're
9 years apart, so yeah, 9.
Right. So you kind of are like a single child to a degree.
Yeah.
Right? But you learn real quick that, you know, sharing is caring, and, you know, you got to share a lot of different things, because that drive home, I've seen, you know what I'm saying, Kia pick up the kids one by one, and it could become a lot. That house can become very noisy in a way that it could become a distraction. You're not able to kind of study, you're not able to kind of do your work. But to that, it's important as a parent that we are in control of knowing what our children is doing, what our children like, what's the distractions in our children's lives to that degree. Now, to this question, I will ask, what have you learned from your mom? Like, when it's all said and done, where you are at in your life, what are some things that you can say, man, my mom taught me what?
My mom taught me confidence, how to speak my mind no matter what, how to just care about myself and not care what other people think, you know, to go out and talk more, how to do makeup,
okay.
You know, the Kia way, you know what I'm talking about. Oh yeah, how to just have, you know, that boss energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even to that, so before I stem to the next question, what have you learned from me?
I learned to keep pushing no matter what. Mm-hmm. Things may come your way, but you just have to push through it. That's life.
Right.
No, everyone's had an obstacle to get where they are now. And even where you are, don't get comfortable. Still keep pushing for more. You know, how to be cool, chillax, how to be funny, you know, how to have that swagger.
Yeah.
You know, the uniqueness. Not caring if people are like, oh, that's not cool or not. Like, your hair, it's not it. Mm-hmm. To not care, because you like it, so that's what matters.
That's all that matters. So even to that point, like, I have 7 children, right? 5 biological kids and 2 kids that are mine, and nobody can tell me different. So with that being said, for all my children, I always try to instill uniqueness and belief in your own self, because as you grow in your life, I can say I've been 15 years old. You can't say at this point that you've been 32. So I've lived your life over, you know what I'm saying, 2 times over. But with that being said, I always want to give my children the respect that they deserve, that they're different than the next. And I try not to put the pressures that I went through on my children to say, I played sports, so you got to play sports. I played football, so China, you got to play football or basketball. I did what I did. I do what I do to sacrifice for you to be able to do whatever you want to do, whether you want to be an esthetician, whether you want to be a doctor, whether you want to be a lawyer, whether you want to be a YouTube influencer. You know what I'm saying? But you have to be able to do something. You know what I'm saying? And you have to have a plan. I'm always constantly asking you about what colleges you want to go to. I'm always constantly asking what your grades look like. I'm always constantly asking what you into, because it's a revolving, ongoing kind of change that you realize now you think completely different than you thought when you was 13. You're going to think completely different than what you thought at 15 now that you are 18 or whatever. So, for me, it is an importance for me to allow my children to be them, uniquely them, in a way that, that's just Shakira, you know what I'm saying? That's just Jaden, that's just Kashmir, that's just Caesar doing, Caesar things. So the next question is, well, I'll say this. Out of all my children, I think you are the most unique one, not because you're the oldest girl, but because you went through this phase of I only want to wear black, this gothic hot topic, poster child, which I didn't, kind of push you away from it or push you into it. I was more receptive to say, okay, where is this stemming from? You know what I'm saying? And, another thing that I really admire about you is you don't pose as this individual that conforms to this side. You conform to all sides, almost like a kaleidoscope or like a rainbow, you know what I'm saying? And one of those topics is your music selection. You know what I'm saying? So if I were to take your phone right now and play the top 5 songs that you've played today or ongoing on a loop, what's your top 5 songs?
So I'll say last night I was into Fleetwood Mac, Rihanna, Dreams, that. Then it was Ghost of Highway 18. I saw that because I was watching this documentary of this killer, and it was Highway 18, whatever. And the song, it just, it was flowing. Then we got Pushin' P. And we got some 50 Cent, in the club. Who else we got? We got Nicki, Beyonce.
So you got rock and roll, you got hip hop, some pop, country.
Yeah. Oh, and just the two of us.
What is that? Will Smith?
No.
Stevie Wonder.
Sometimes just the two of us. Yeah, that. Yeah, that. Whatever. Yeah. Just different things. I got mommy hooked to James Arthur and Louis Capaldi.
I like that. So even with that, I think how we relate, you know what I'm saying, is different. And I'll say this, from a parent's perspective, it's hard to cope with your kids because you can be very headstern and stubborn to change, right? We live in 2022 where life is completely different than 1997, completely different than 1993, completely different than 2007. You feel me? So for me, it's how do I evolve as a dad? How do I evolve as a parent to be the cool person that all my children can come to with any advice? Because I always tell them, bruh, I'm a perfect example of a person that went through a lot of stuff, good, bad, or indifferent. I made issues, or I had issues, and I made mistakes in a way that, I didn't necessarily have a trusted source that I could go to and ask for help. So when you have these type of things, I'm so open-minded that I'm more let down when you make a mistake and you don't come to me or go to your mom, because we still hip enough that you can go to as an outlet to vent, you know what I'm saying? So if you're going through certain things, in a way that you make a mistake, I would hate for you to just go through that mistake alone. Now let's talk about something that you kind of mentioned that you wanted to talk about, mental health. You know what I'm saying? How does a 15-year-old girl going through the daily, routine, what's stressing in your life right now? Or whether you or somebody, because you're speaking for yourself and you're speaking for all 15-year-old girls there that you may see, may know, or may not ever meet in your life.
I'd say high school, what happens there, and like just in general, say like peer pressure, dating, friend groups, you know, what you look like, insecurities, confidence. And I also say, as like a 15-year-old, I say the routine. Like going to high school, you can wake up at 6, 7, you just, oh man, I don't want to do this again. Because every day just seems like the same, you know? You go into school, you come home, you do work, you go back, you get more work, you go back, and you have a test this day. Man, you don't pass that test, you go home, you're like, oh, I got to pass the next time. You study, you don't pass that test. You don't study, you pass that test. So you're trying to figure out who you are, what you like, what you're not comfortable with, who you're fine hanging with. Oh, I don't like her, I don't like them. Oh, she don't like me. Oh, what's the name said this, like that.
So it's a bunch of...
It's a different things.
Different things that from the natural eye, I may say, oh, Shakira, that ain't important. But it is important in your world to a way that a lot of parents can overlook, like, oh, that's just her going through this little phase. That's just her going through those issues. And what I will say, as a good parent, you're there every single step of the way. So whether it's preparing for a test, whether preparing for prom, whether preparing for, you know, the weekend or just the week ahead, you know, you have some type of access to, you know, to help you. Now, let's talk about boys. Let's talk about girls. Let's talk about, you know, just the understanding of sex in your life. Like how are you able to kind of vet out who's the right person for me and who do you feel comfortable with, you know, rendering your time and efforts to? You know what I'm saying? Like, how does that even work?
Honestly, I'm not the right teenager to ask because I don't plan on dating in high school. See, we going through high school, you know, breezing by, you know, the pimping don't stop. Hoes before bros. No, but yeah, no, cause it's like, cause you go to somebody in a relationship. I asked my friend, she was like, oh, her friend was talking about her relationship. I got bumped into it. I don't even know how. She's like, they probably won't even last 7 months. Mind you, we're freshmen. You know, the high school dream, high school sweethearts are gonna make it to college. We're gonna get married, have kids, whatever. And she's like, they're probably not even gonna make it till 7 months, this and that. I was like, okay, so what's the point in dating? She's like, you know, it's in the moment thing. I was like, okay. So I'm not doing that because that's a waste of 7 months in my life where I could have had a nice time. To me,
that's a cool thing to say, but when that day does come, and I remember you had this crush on this guy who's going to remain nameless, and every parent, every dad has to come to grips with understanding that your girl will be faced with a asshole knucklehead that's going to try to get the panties. Right? You know what I'm saying? Like that's just the reality of where we live, because I was that boy. Like I was the dude that was, hey, what's your number? Hey, you know what I'm saying? Kick me your number before your daddy come to this basketball game, da 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 da. And it's a lot of women who are guilty of being something that their parents don't know that they are. Correct?
Yes.
And now you seeing life in a way where you see it full circle. But how, as a parent, do you help me understand, giving you leniency to say, you know what, Shakira, you want to go on a date with the guy, or even if you don't want to go on a date, you want to go to the mall or to the movies with your friends or to go to, you know, any type of setting. How do you give me trust in knowing that you're doing exactly what you're saying you're going to do?
Honestly, before I even do that, I'll let you meet the people I hang around. Because it's like, the relationship we have, if you're not cool with the people I hang around, like, why am I hanging around with them? Like, because if I'm cool with you, you know what to look for. You know who I am, and you'll see a different side of someone rather than I. So, me, I let you meet them. But I guess you just have to let them learn. It's going to be heartbreak, but they have to learn, because if you're a teenager, you're like, man, I don't want you hanging around. And they like bump you, you lame, you don't know them like I do. I see a different side of them, you know. They go heartbreak, but like either way, it's gonna end the same. So you just gotta let them learn. You can give advice, you can let it sit, but it's probably most likely going through one ear out the other.
Man, I had a conversation with a person on Funky Friday, and I remember telling them, I can advise my children as much as I want to, but it's still gonna take them to go through it for them to really understand, oh man, this is what daddy was talking about. Oh man, this is what my mama was talking about. And I had to learn for myself. I could tell you 100 times over, Shakira, do not put your hand in that fire. You gonna get burned. And you keep walking around the dog on fire and you gotta say for yourself, man, I still wanna stick my hand out there. I got burned. And then it will hit to say, man, daddy knew what he was talking about this whole time. I should have just listened to him. And that's what life is all about. Life is all about learning. Life is all about, you going through your issues as you grow old, and to be able to say, it's up to me to take that and apply it, or I'm going to hear you say that, but I'm still going to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
So, as you grow, I hope you always keep that in mind. But as we talk about this, and we talk about different parenting styles, how your grandmother was raised was completely different than how your mom was raised. How I was raised was completely different than how Jaden was raised or is being raised right now. You see what I'm saying? How do you say, or what have you seen the differences in parenting styles, in your life?
All right, I'm gonna say my grandma. My grandma, she was raised, I guess I'll say, by young parents. The traditional, you're not lazy, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, we're gonna follow rules, But she was, I say Mama Turnbow, she was out there.
When you say out there, it warrants that. That's a very, it could be a very either justified word or a judgmental word.
Oh, no, not like that. I say my grandma, she lived her best life. She had a nice time. Ain't nothing wrong with doing that. Ain't nothing wrong with living your truth and living your best life. And as long as you're not killing people out there. That's all I'm saying. As long as you're not doing that. But anyway, yeah, so, but she believes in different things. So it's like you go to her, it's like, oh, I've been feeling real depressed and anxiety. She's like, oh, no, you just lazy. You don't want to get out the bed. Oh, that's the devil. You need to get baptized. Where my cross at? Let me see. Holy water. Yeah, you can just tell. And by the way she says her experience is, and the way things happened back then, people used to be able to fight, fight it out, have their groups. Now everybody want to pull out the Glock, the guns, pull up and jump you. So it's like it's different times,
What about the parenting style of your mom?
See, mommy? Mommy's cool. She's hip. That's my dog, Yeah, she's my dog. I say, me and my mom, we click, and then we don't click sometimes. So, what did he say? I feel like, I don't know, mommy's grown a lot in her parenting. I feel like as the years she's, like, from her childhood, because mommy, she's kind of went through the same thing I did. And she had different parental advice, but as she got older, she learned. And like I say, you may tell your child something now, and they won't listen. But as you get older, they start to listen. I feel like that's how my mom was with my granddad. She learned from my grandma. Like, my mom's street smart and book smart. Like, she know how to get her way. And, she's a Gemini, by the way.
So as we kind of transition and talk about, different parenting styles, for me, like you see in a weekend or multiple days, I feel extremely comfortable with having all 7 kids to myself, right? And I got mind control over Debo, as they say. I see a completely different side to you than your mom may see. You know what I'm saying? Because you may curse around your mama. I don't allow you to even, say something, but I do believe in the expression. Now, I ain't the one to be like, no, watch your mouth, treat people with respect. That's the things that I teach my children. And you say, Pumbaa, oh my God, that kid, that boy, he the worst. But when I see Pumbaa, when I see Cashmere, when I see Caesar, when I see Chosen for that matter, you know, I don't see that different side of them. You know what I'm saying? Because they know daddy ain't having that. And, you know, for that, how are you able to kind of bounce different things off of different parents by, you know, knowing who's going to go for it and who's not going to go for it?
Let me see. Mommy, you can finesse her. She can be finessed. I will say it like that.
Finessing in what way, though?
Mom, can I go to the store? No. Man, that's why I don't even like you, bro. I ain't do nothing to you. All right, get in the car. Come on, let's go. Finesse. You don't go for it. You see, they won't test it. It's like dipping your foot in the water. The first time, you're not gonna do it again because it's cold. So you just, you know, you walk away. It's just, and then it's the height difference, and then just the manliness, whatever. So you know, casual acting like, I'm gonna call daddy and tell him, you know, they'll stop. Well, mommy, you know, like I said, she can be finessed. She can be finessed. She's still strict when she wanna be though. She got it in her. She sure do got it in her.
So let's change the tempo too. Let's start talking about fashion. You know what I'm saying? So who are some fashion people that you kind of get your fashion ideas from, and what prompted even this whole outfit? You feel me? I see you with the crop top, lavender, with a darker tone lavender, with the Mike and Nikes. You know what I mean? What goes into your fashion prowess? You know, what catches your eye, what doesn't catch your eye. Even in school, like when you see a girl or a dude, be like, oh, he fresh, or she not fresh. What goes through your mind with that?
For me, what feels comfortable and what looks right. Because not everything look right on everybody. Like, you may see someone with the same outfit on, you try, it don't look right? Like, it's how you wear it and how, like, the aurora in it. Like, if you see this on somebody else, it won't look right at all. But it's how he wears it, how he owns it. Like, yeah, I look good. You know I look good. So if you see someone in the hallway and you see their outfit, you're like, yeah, they put it together, but like, did they really put it together? But you see somebody else in the hallway, they may have the bare minimum on, but it's the way they wear it. And you're like, you know, what?
So even for me, like for your birthday, what did you get for your birthday?
I got gift cards. A card, and some money and a cross, a necklace.
So with that, did you know how much money was on your gift card?
No.
How did you find out how much money was on each gift card, and what kind of gift cards did you get?
I called. I got a Foot Locker gift card, a DTL gift card, a Chipotle gift card.
Sephora.
Oh, Sephora. Yeah, and H&M.
So while you going out as you growing, you getting different styles, different people who like you kind of learn from and get ideas from. You know, that person that you're becoming right now. 5 years from now, who do you and what do you see Shakira doing and being?
5 years from now, I'll say I'll be the life of the party. That's who I'll be. I'll be living my best life.
So when you say the life of the party, I could easily say, well, that's also labeled as a thought, a person that gets around. What's the difference?
I'm gonna say I'm an opportunist. That's not a thought. See, no, I'm not. I don't mean get around. You should be like, you know, when I come into the room, it lights up. It may be dark. I make it bling. You know, it might not be blinging. I make it bling. Like, you see the smile, everybody smile. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Let's have a nice time and stop. And, you know, trying to make moolah.
So how do you handle peer pressure? And I'll ask you a very blunt question. Have you ever smoked marijuana in your life?
No.
Cross your heart, hope to die.
Cross my heart, hope to die. I've never smoked.
Have you been faced with marijuana?
Yes.
Here I am. I didn't know this prior to, but this is just a perfect example of me having this type of open, candid conversation with my daughter so she can feel comfortable with coming to me to talk about anything. Now, I'll also admonish the parents that's watching this to talk to your kids, because there are parents out there that knows only one side to their child, and their child is wreaking havoc in many ways. Wow. More wild than one. So do I think drinking at the age of 15 is wrong? Hell yeah. Is it something that I'm going for? Hell no. But I would prefer you to be open enough to be honest with me, and I'm not judge it, because I've never sipped no alcohol before outside of wine. Like, wine is something that I drink. Your mom drinks wine. Everybody drinks wine. But I can't monitor you when you go to your friend's house. I can't monitor you when you go to school and somebody says, hey, smoke this. You know what I'm saying? I only can teach you right from wrong in the sense that you say, nah, that ain't for me. I ain't doing that. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's vaping, whether it's smoking hookah or whatever, those are things that I do not condone. But are you going to be faced with it through peer pressure?
Yes.
Absolutely. So, you know, whether you admit it or not, only the kid knows what they've done. And the children that I've come in contact with, you know, in my life, whether I was 15, 16 to 17 or whatever, or a adult in my 20s or whatever, the parents that spoke to their children, those children had a better grasp on life and knew, you know, how to go about certain things in different type of ways. And that's what I aspire to be with my children. Like, I'm not sitting up here leaving bottles of wine open around my kids, because I know that they're always looking. I even have to warrant when I smoke cigars around my kids, because they don't know, you know, the difference between a cigar and even marijuana. As you grow old, you start realizing, like, oh, that's just a cigar. That's not a blunt. You dig what I'm saying? But it's some parents that smoke around their kids. Hell, let's just be honest. There are some parents that smoke with their kids, right? So, I mean, I'm not sitting up here saying that I deserve the Parent of the Year award, your mom deserved the Parent of the Year award, because there's no book that can ever tell you how to be a good parent. Every child is different. And you're talking to a person that has multiple children, and everybody's different. You know, my brother, for example, Kalen, my younger brother, I got a mouth of a sailor, I would think. But Kalen never cursed. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, well, where did that come from? You know what I'm saying? And it's not to say he's better than me or I'm better than him. It's just about the developmental stages that he goes through is going to be completely different than the developmental stages that I even went through or my older brother went through. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, I will always, you know, kind of warrant to parents that peer pressure is real. Mental health is real. The understanding and the importance to talk to your kids candidly about real situations, not just saying what you can't do, not just saying what you're not supposed to do, rather than hearing them out and saying, you know, this is what I did. I went to a party, there was this, there was that, and I can only tell you what I deem you should hear. And going back to that fire example, I could tell you that smoking is bad. I could tell you that drinking is bad. I can only pray to God that when you're faced with that situation, you hear a little voice in your head that says, nah, my dad already talked to me about this. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to become this. Because everybody sees the crackhead, everybody sees the meth head, but they don't know where it stemmed from. And 9 times out of 10, or there's a highly chance that it just stemmed from just smoking weed, just smoking cigarettes, just smoking a cigar, just drinking a little, just, you know, taking a water bottle to school that it looked like water, but it was vodka. You know what I'm saying? So I think, you know, that's important to have real conversations with your children. And I come from the background where it's easier for me to talk to boys rather than talking to girls. And there's times where we may not see eye to eye all the time, but I know your body is going through different phases mentally and physically, where I seen this girl flat-chested at 5 years old. Now you're growing boobs, you're growing the little booty, and you know, here I am. I'm like, man, damn, how do I warrant this? Because I know how a man thinks. And you may think of it as innocence, like, oh man, I look cute in this crop top. But I'm like, hell no, Shakira, take your ass back upstairs and change. Because you're not able to explain yourself to a lot of people. And perception is reality in a lot of things. And it's a saying that says you're innocent until proven guilty, but in this society, you're guilty until proven innocent. And for that quote alone warrants you to present yourself at all times in a manner that you want to be able to say, somebody can say, oh, Shakira, she's like this, rather than saying, oh, you talking about the girl with the puffy hair that's always, you know, walking around, you know what I'm saying, like she a hoe or like she a thought or like she this and like she that. Whether you are or not, it's what you're gravitating to, what you're giving out, the energy that you're giving out. So as we kind of close this, you know, Funky Friday, is there anything you kind of want to talk about?
Shout out my moms. My dog, you know. Yeah, Kia Proctor Official. Go on Instagram, you know. Go to her YouTube, like, subscribe.
From a dad who is a girl dad, respectfully. Shakira, I love you. Shakira, I care about you. And even this, like you got to understand, me and my dad's relationship, my dad never told me like, son, I love you. Oh, son, you know, I care about you, or I even kiss my dad. That's not who my dad is. I think as I grew older, I started understanding, you know, I love people for who they are. You know what I'm saying? And America has a way of painting this perfect family dynamic, you know, and it puts pressure on you when you realize, like, damn, my family not like the Huxtables. Damn, my family not like Fresh Prince. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on? But I do have a supporting cast in my life of people who really genuinely care, and that's what makes family. So, girl, you did good.
Thank you. I know I did.
You know what I mean? And as we always end things, you ready?
All right, hold on.
One finger, one pinky, one thumb, one love. You dig.